Welcome to video number 5. This is Kelly with Hallotaspa Consulting, and we're going to pick up kind of right where we left off. Alright, I did make that change. So remember how the contact was in the end, health topics was down here. I made sure that health topics came here where it was supposed to go, and then we have our drop down. Okay, so it acts exactly the same way. So as services, so we click on this. When we come here, we have all these different options, which you also have here, right? So health topics, if you go to diabetes, this is just content, okay? We don't even need to go over how it looks in the back end. Header, we're comfortable with content. We have food allergies. We have header. We have content. Arthritis, header, image, content. Yeah. ACL services, header here, content. We're good, right? Another header. We're comfortable here. I feel confident that at this point you'd be able to go into these pages and see what's going on. You've seen all of these elements before. Okay, so this video is really just going to be about forms. So again, we talked about how there's all these different forms, but they don't, they have to have pages, right, to render on the front end or to be presented on the front end. Let's minimize these just to make things easier. Right, so, but otherwise we really don't have anywhere to put them. So if we go into new client, we know that the new client form is here, yeah, but we don't really know, or we know that it doesn't live here in pages. It lives in forms. So we're in contact forms, and every one of these forms is this way. They live here. So we have new client form. So we're going to go here. Now the way this works is you have these different, you can move these fields around, you can add new fields. You would just click on them. They all have their different areas to do. Say we wanted to add another single line text. You click one of these. These are the only two that you would need here, standard field, advanced field. It drops it into the very bottom of the form. Okay, so then you have, see how it goes into that 4 arrow thing? That means I can move it around. Okay, to edit it, I click this little down arrow. Oops. There it goes. And I get all of this. So see how it says untitled there? That's the label. So say I want to say, this is my question. This is what do you want to ask? Wow, if I could type, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? This is my question. So you can put that here, or pet's name, whatever, right? This is how it's going to look. It's showing you here. You can put a description, but if you put a description, see how it puts it below it. So just keep that in mind. The only really other thing that you're probably going to have to do is if you want this to be required or not. That means that you want, if you make this required, it has this little red asterisk here. That means that they cannot submit the form until this is filled out. So it's up to you whether or not whatever you put in here is filled out or not. But we're not going to mess this form up, so we're just going to close this. And this is its way of saying, are you sure you want to delete this? Because it's going to go away. You're like, okay, I know. So really, all of these work kind of in the same way. You have multi-select, which, have you ever seen that thing where, you can hold down the control key and select different choices? Yeah, that's how you would use this. Again, you have your untitled, which is, the question or the statement or whatever. And then you have your first choice, second choice, third choice. To add another one, you click these pluses to take them away. You click these minuses. You can make it required or not. There's a bunch of other options, but 98% of the time, this is the only part that I ever do anything with either. So, again, you get the warning. You do get a lot of options, but really, they're pretty self-explanatory. You have your address form. If you wanted it to be required, you could have a United States address. You can have an international address, not that you ever would, so just make sure it says United States and whether it's required or not. But I'm going to close out of there. So all of the forms act this way. If you wanted to change something, so say you didn't want this to say home phone number, you'd find it, you click this down arrow, you change it here. Okay, say you want to make that required, click that here. Okay, again, I actually don't want to close it. Thank you, see, saved me. I want to click this. Okay, so You can change any one of these things. I mean, we took all this information from your form, so there might be something that you tweak, something you might not, but if you have a specific question about the form or you completely rework one of your forms, then we can go from there, but otherwise it's going to be pretty straightforward. Now the only other thing that I would imagine that you would change on these forms, and unfortunately you can't change it all as one whole thing, you have to change it per form. You go to Form Settings and Notifications. This is where it's sending it to. So when somebody submits that new client form, it sends this email address the confirmation of that. And so to change that, you click on it and you would change it here. Okay, so this is actually called email to admin. And then this is where you would change that. So I'm going to save it. Update notification. Click on. Alright, so now it says email to admin, which is what it should say. And to change it, you change this. Yeah? They're all that way. They all look exactly this way. This confirmation, this is what happens after you submit this. Like a client's going to submit this, and it kind of does that like redirecting thing to tell them, to let them know that it was successfully submitted. Thank you for trusting us with the care of your pet. We promise to treat your pet like one of our own. Fantastic. That's what they're going to see as soon as they submit that, right? Form settings, you really aren't going to change any of these, but if for whatever reason you wanted to mess with them, that's where they are. Now the cool thing about this is you can check the entries. So it's a little weird. So you can come over here to switch form. You can choose any one of these forms, and it's going to tell you who has submitted, right? So we have application. Ooh, you've gotten 2. New client form. Look at all those. So you've been using it. That's fantastic. So for whatever reason you delete that email that it's sent to you and you forget or whatever, you can come in here and you can find it. So you have contact forms, entries, and you can select which form. This kind of hides over here, so this is where it is. And you can click on whichever one you need. It shows you, say this is the surgery authorization mass removal. So go to Caitlin. It gives you all the information here. So you do have that information, the phone numbers where you can be reached today, vaccinations, if there's any, I'm not sure what's in this, but there's any sort of, here we go. I understand that all charges for services from this hospital are due at time of discharge and must be paid before my pet can be released. Obviously we do sometimes need that in veterinary offices. So she did sign it and it was dated, and that's what this serves as. Whether you choose to have them sign it in-house or not, you do have this record of it. But that is the cool area here. And another area that we haven't, well, again, all of these act exactly the same. All of these. You can see where our entries are here. How many views there were. But another area that we haven't really talked about is the blog post area. We have talked about how there's different categories, right? So we can click on these blog post categories here, and here they all are. You can create a new one. You put it here. You click Add New. Don't worry about any of these. All you'd have to do is put it here and click that. It'll show up over here. You have another category, right? But if you wanted to add a new post, you can click here. You can click here. Whichever one, take you to the same place. So say you wanted to add a new blog post, right? There's 3 things that you have to make sure that you have. You have to have a title, which is, if you come over here, that's this, right? And then the content, obviously we're familiar with what that is, okay? All the content in here, whether you add media or not, I would suggest that you do. Most blog posts are kept to around 300 to 500 words. Most people don't have the attention span for more than that, so just keep that in mind. And then the only other thing that you have to make sure that you do is tell the site which category it's in, because you remember, like, some of them, we have this so that certain pages will pull certain information or not. So if it's a cat or it's a feline thing, you want to make sure that you have it on cat wellness, not just in something like articles or exotic even. You want to make sure that this is correct. So Testimonials are only used for the testimonials. The photo blog, when you have it, will be what comes here, right? And then you have the pet memorials, which will be very specific to their page. Exotic wellness, dog wellness, cat wellness. Those are all very specific. If it's a general post, you can put it in articles and uncategorized. Those are just general areas. Otherwise, you're going to be pretty specific of where you want that. So if you want to do a new blog post, you click blog post, you click add new here, or you can click new up here. So say you're in the dashboard and you want it to be quick, you logged in and this is where you landed, you could click new, and you want to do a new post. That's a blog post, and page is a website page, okay? New testimonial, things like that. So really that is your site, and it seems like a lot, but I think you're going to be comfortable with it. The pages reuse a lot of the same types of things, which is great because it's going to make it a little easier for you to handle, to deal with. But really, the most complicated parts are the forms and the blog posts, and I think that after you listen to these videos, you watch them, we have our one-on-one. I feel confident that you're going to be able to manage this. And as always, we are here to answer any questions that you might have. Feel free to email or call any of us, Tiffany or I, and we'll do what we can to help you in the most timely manner possible. So I'm looking forward to our one-on-one training. I hope to solve a lot of your problems and answer a lot of your questions for you. In the meantime, I enjoy your videos, and have a good rest of your day.